I've never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello everyone, welcome back to E20 Zone TV. I am joined by Tom and we're going to talk about the Aguerd injury, Scamacca, will he start against City, and our Premier League expectations. Tom, how are you?
I'm all right. Mate. I'm a bit shocked with the news about the fact that Kostic is potentially turning his head towards joining us as well. And then obviously the happy side of things, which is, my God, we're signing a striker. So yeah, no, it's a good day, it seems.
Good man. Let's start off with the new striker. Does he start for you against City, Tom?
I mean, throwing him in at the deep end, obviously. But I think it's more, I think for me, it's a question of you put your best 11 out, really. If that means he starts and maybe Antonio starts as well. I'd like to see them together because I actually think up top together, I don't think there's going to be many Premier League defences that can handle them. But I may give it a miss because I don't want to completely throw his confidence if we get battered like 4-5-0 on opening day, and then, it could be seen as, the battle of the two new strikers with Haaland and Scamacca, etc. But I'm probably more of the opinion that if you put your best 11 out and go from there, but hopefully he plays against Lens this week, and we can sort of judge him from there.
I don't know, man. I think like, if you're paying that sort of money, I think he's like decent enough to come in and start. I had a little debate last night about Antonio, and people were sort of convinced that Antonio is going to be the main man and Scamacca is going to be sort of used as of when. I don't believe that. I really, really don't. What do you think on that?
I don't think we can sort of understate what he's done for the club in the last sort of like 7 years, really, since he's been here. I think we owe it to him that probably he will want to start. But I also think this is good for him because hopefully it will push him to want to be better. I don't think he's as good a finisher at all. I don't think he can lace Scamacca's boots in terms of finishing. But normally, most weeks, you can't fault his work rate and sort of the pain that he can cause for defences when he's on it. And we saw that last season in the first half. He's looked shaky as anything in pre-season, but hopefully come sort of the first game of the season, realistically, he's actually looked really good against City the last few times we've played him. He's given them all kinds of hell. Interesting enough, I think it's probably because we played them like towards the start of all the season, so it's like he's ready to go straight away because we always have City on the opening weekend. But no, I don't think Scamacca will start. As Charlie said there, I think it may take him a little while to bed in. And I think he'll sort of hold him back, maybe give him sort of 15, 20 minutes here or there at the start of the season. So, yeah.
What's your expectations of him this year, Scamacca?
I'd say 10 goals minimum. 10 goals minimum in the Prem, I think. It is an ask, but I think he's got all the sort of tools to be able to do that. But I also expect potentially his assist numbers to go up as well. I've sort of spoke about this morning. I put something out on Twitter about it, and also did it in the Hammers Chat video, which we've done for when he signs, and that is what he's going to be able to do to bring the best out of Jarrod Bowen's game. I think Jarrod Bowen is going to have an absolute field day, especially if he plays off of Scamacca and Scamacca ends up starting towards the end of the season. I think the link-up play between those two could be something really special. But I'd like to see, because we haven't had a striker in such a long time, I'd love to have a striker that could get 20 goals in all comps maybe next season and use that as a foundation to go forward. So I'll be looking for at least maybe 10 across all the other competitions and maybe 10 in the Premier League. He's capable of doing that. Whether he will do and how quickly he'll adapt remains to be seen. I think it will transition well for him over here because he has, like I said, all of the attributes to succeed. But I'd be looking at minimum around about 10 goals in the Prem next season as a good base to sort of start from. because obviously when you're forking out a lot of money, you want to score goals. So, yeah.
I think we can't put any expectation on this man. I agree, though. Some goals will be nice, but I think if he comes here and he has a good season, as long as he contributes, then that's all good. Like Mikel Antonio, for instance, doesn't really contribute goal scoring wise. He scored 10 in a season, and everyone's over the moon with it. But it's what he does off the ball that people keep telling me about. So, I like.
I think that's the main difference, though. What you said, I think off the ball, I think that's what Scamacca will do well. I know Antonio's build-up play, or as much as holding up the ball and progressive. I'd like to see how good he was last year. His progressive forward passes almost, because having seen the highlights and the heat maps of Scamacca and stuff, he like I said, for Bowen.
Yeah,
his passing ability into the final third looks absolutely incredible. He's got the skill for a big guy, and I think that may be the missing link almost, is that sort of link up play that sometimes Antonio maybe doesn't bring because of his not laziness, but the fact he looks knackered after sort of half an hour and a few runs. So yeah, I think that is going to be the difference. I think Scamacca is, to reference the James Alcott video that he did the other night. I think he said he'll act like a backboard in basketball, and he'll just swallow most things up.
I've got this here from Charlie. What's your thoughts on Tom Giroude's shot? I'm not getting involved, bruv. That's what I'm going to say to that. But if Tom wants to roll deep, then he can roll deep. Tom, listen, does he play with Antonio at all, Scamacca, as a pair?
I'd love to see it. How well that may work, I don't know, because we did try it once with Antonio and Aguerd, and sometimes it looked like it worked okay, but I don't know.
Done it last season with Bowen, though, didn't he? Well, Antonio and Bowen at one stage, I remember.
Yeah, but if actual two out and out strikers, two massive lumps, I think it would work better than maybe it did with Aguerd. Just because I think like I said before, for a big guy, I think he is very skillful on the ball. I think he's similar maybe in terms of his finishing to Aguerd, but I think maybe he brings a different kind of, I don't know, say like a profile. Like he's not necessarily a bog standard 6'4" like Chris Wood. He's quite lean but strong. He's just like people
he loves a shot, doesn't he?
Over there. He's like they've been comparing him to Zlatan and stuff because of his athleticism and some of the things that he can do. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, now and again, if you were coming up against I don't know who's going to be the new Burnley this season after they get relegated, just stick two lumps up top with two big traditional English centre halves and just see what carnage they can do.
It's going to be interesting to see that. I don't think it can work. I think they're going to look at pushing Antonio to the left, I feel. And they go 4-2-3-1. I think Antonio will play in different positions this year. I don't think he's just going to play as a centre forward. I just don't see it. For me, before I move on to a different topic, Scamacca, for me, I want this boy to hit the ground running. So the fan base are not on this man straight away. I don't want the fan base after 5 games complaining that he ain't scored 1 or 2 goals or something. Do you know what I mean? So we can't have a Haller 2.0, granted, but we can't treat him like Haller already. Do you know what I'm saying? So we've got to get.
I will say, Aguerd, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, Charlie may know, but I think Aguerd hit the ground running in as much as he got a double against Watford, I think.
Twice.
And to be honest with you, it's the same as Hernandez. Obviously, I know he lost against Southampton on his debut, but he got 2 away down at Southampton. So recently, actually, our strikers, and even you can say Antonio sort of hit the ground running as well. It's just about carrying that on past the first sort of 4 or 5 months of the season. It's with our strikers, they get to a certain point and then they just fall off the cliff. So, excuse me, Coke Zero. It'll be interesting to see sort of whether or not, if he does hit the ground running, he can keep up that form. I think that's the problem with us, is that we haven't had someone who's been reliable enough like the top teams have, that pretty much they're going to get a goal every 1 in 2 games or something like that. So
the one thing I keep hearing, this is the final thing before I do move on, is that people keep saying about Moyes is going to rotate the strikers. Right, he's going to rotate them. Like 1 week he'll have Antonio against the team, and then he'll go with Scamacca against the team. Now, for me, I don't believe that in the slightest because Moyes don't like to change things up. We all know that. Like, do you know what I mean? So, what do you think on that, Tom? Like, would you be surprised if Moyes week in, week out changes his centre forward?
No, I don't think he will. I don't think he likes to do that. I think I'm on the sort of same page as you on that one. He has his tried and trusted 11, and I think he'll go. I think he'll go with whatever, like I said, best 11 he can put out each week. And I think, he's maybe didn't necessarily have as many options off the bench last year that he could change things up with. So maybe that that is a good thing. And maybe obviously he probably knows as much as the fans and everyone else that unfortunately our defence at times just looked burnt out towards the end of the season because we just didn't have any replacements. So maybe there'll be a bit more rotation. I think it will help Antonio massively because he's not asked. I mean, literally last season, he did incredibly well to stay fit for the 38 games. We didn't have any injury concerns with him, I don't think, or any major concerns. Like we usually have one big one a season with him over the last 7 years. So I think it will help him because I want that Antonio that if he starts, he runs as hard as he can for 60 minutes. He brings Scamacca on, or if Scamacca starts, you've got Antonio coming off the bench for the last half an hour to impact the game with his size and his speed and everything else. So I actually think whichever way he goes with it, I think it will work well. But I don't think it's going to be too much rotation. It will just be interesting to see because Antonio could easily play if he wants to do something different. Maybe instead of having Ben Rama on the left, you can maybe move Ben Rama into the middle and put Antonio out wide. It depends, game by game basis. I don't think that Antonio and Scamacca almost will be the rotation. I think he may look to try and get them in by putting Antonio out wide. And we've all known from the last couple of years, every time that we've sort of watched Antonio play, all he ever does is drift out wide anyway. So at least hopefully now we'll have somebody that will be in the middle to be sort of on the receiving end of
You watch what happened. He'd be playing wide and he'd be drifting in the middle. Yeah? Do you know what I mean? We all know what's going to happen there. So we will see what happens. Moving on, though, to Aguerd. Injured. Out.
Yeah.
What do we do now, Tom? We've signed a player who is out for about 4 to 12 weeks, I think someone said. So what do we do? Do we go out and buy another centre-half? Do we loan a player? Do we go as we are?
I'd probably loan a player. I feel so sorry for him as well because apparently people were saying on Twitter earlier and he's never had a single long-term injury his entire career and he's 25, 26?
Yeah.
Comes here and it's, it's just straight away. Didn't even make it to the season. I'm actually gutted for him because I tell you, he looked an absolute unit back there. Him and Zuma straight away in the first game they played in pre-season, they just looked on the same page. And every time he came off, we ended up conceding goals in every single game that we played. So what's that, like 2 or 3 games he played? And, so it's annoying, but also you do have your left-sided centre-half in Ogbonna to come back. I think there was talk he had some swelling around his knee, which is usual if you've just come off of sort of major surgeries to get swelling now and again. But that's why I wouldn't necessarily be buying, unless it was maybe a younger English centre-half or something, or this Torunariga or something that people have spoken about that knows he's not going to come for game time, but you've got Dawson and Ogbonna who aren't exactly, going to be around for much longer. So, but knowing the fact that Ogbonna's come off of a season-long injury, Dawson was playing half the season injured and has been out all pre-season. Now Aguerd's out, and then so you realistically the only fit centre-half we've got is Zuma, who also can be prone to having an injury now and again. You've got rid of Elise. I'd either be looking to promote Baptiste, maybe just to have him in and around the squad, or go in and getting yourself a young English centre-half or something from elsewhere.
I'm gutted. To talk about Aguerd, I'm absolutely fucking gutted. I watched this geezer for the summer, and I was watching him in international games, and I couldn't wait for him to put the West Ham shirt on. Now I've got to wait another 4 to 12 weeks. I don't know what the best solution is here. I don't think Ogbonna is the right choice now because he's just come back off a long injury. And if you go with Dawson and Zuma, they're steady. Don't get me wrong, but if one of them goes down, we are majorly in trouble. I think we should be looking at a loan with an option to buy for someone. That's the thing where I look at, like, get someone on a season-long loan, try them out, and see if we can nab them next season, like next summer.
The only thing now I'm sort of thinking about it, the only reason I'm saying it is because of what happened last year with Crow. I wouldn't want to waste a loan deal potentially for somebody that's just not going to play. So if it does mean maybe signing someone a little bit younger who, I just wouldn't want to waste.
Could Ben Johnson go as a covering centre back?
See, people keep saying this. I'm not sure. I don't think he's naturally the biggest guy to play at centre half. I mean, maybe he could do. Cresswell did it for a year or so in Moyes' first spell, but that was in a back five, so I think it was a little bit easier for him. But I'm just, I'm not sure. I'm not sold on him or the idea of him being another centre half.
Yeah, I agree. I really, really do. I think you'd have to nurture him in slowly, but we ain't gonna have time for that. But let's move on from Aguerd, which is a shame. Don't get me wrong. And listen, whatever happens in the defensive front, we need someone in. I do believe. Kostic, the man looks like he fancies the east side of London. Tom, what is going on with us? Has Rob Newman got to take a bow on this one and all?
I think his agent does. I think, as somebody put in the chat earlier, I think we found the new Will Salthouse. I don't know where he's been hiding because he's actually got some decent clients. So, I just, wow, if we get him. It could mean a change in formation, but again, I know you don't want to hear it. It could end up signalling the end of sort of maybe Ben Rama in January or next year, depending on where he wants to play. Naturally, I guess he's sort of played as a left wing back for Frankfurt, but then he's also played further forward for Frankfurt as a left-sided player as well. So it'd be interesting to see. But one thing I can guarantee is that, my God, we're going to be a danger from set pieces if he comes next year. I mean, we've already got Souček, Dawson, Zuma, Rice, add Scamacca in there, Antonio, and then you've got the dead ball set pieces of Kostic and Fornals or Cresswell or someone with that. I mean, he's a proper talent. I think it's nice though, because like last year, you always hear these kind of players and you think, Kostic, he's a good player for Frankfurt. Oh, he must be good in the Bundesliga and stuff. But then actually last year, when we got to watch and play against him, and you can actually see how good he was. Although over the two legs, I think actually that Kamada was probably the better player, maybe out of the two of them. Somebody else that potentially someone we could look at. But I like it. I like him. I think he's a hard-working, just a typical, maybe not necessarily all the pace in the world, but I think he ticks all the right boxes for David Moyes, with the fact that he's going to be an absolute demon from set pieces if he comes. But it just gives us options, and I like it. It's better than last year, where it was kind of like, well, who are we going to go with this week? Oh yeah, let's just put the same 11 in because that's what we do. Whereas this year, it's like, oh, hang on a minute, we've got a world-class player on the left, we've got a world-class player on the right, we've got a world-class, or not world-class, but a young, talented striker. Who are we going to go with this week? It's nice to have those options, especially when we're playing European football, when that's something he's been doing for the last sort of 4 or 5 years with Frankfurt anyway. So yeah, it's an improvement, I think, on the squad, getting someone like that in, and won't cost too much money, obviously, because he's in the last year of his deal.
I like him. I do. I really, really do. But I am not convinced him as a left wing back. I think he's coming here to be a left winger. I don't know why. I just look at it and I think our system is not made for 3-4-3. But how many times last year did we watch West Ham play 3-4-3 and get really fucking destroyed tactically, like overrun, and we just look so uncomfortable and out of place? What do you think? I want to get to that question that someone's just put in the chat. I will get to that shortly. But what do you think of this change of system, Tom? Like, I think it's a risk, big time.
Yeah, I think it's. For me, I mean, if you're a manager, I guess you sort of, I wouldn't change your game plan week in, week out, because that's just going to confuse the players if you're chopping and changing all sort of season in different systems and stuff. If it's something that it's flexible, so that the players know that maybe if we bring a sub on, or potentially trying something different in the game, or maybe we're setting up against City or Chelsea or something like that for that specific week. Maybe it's something I'd look at. Like last year, I think we were completely outdone by Frankfurt because I think we should have matched up in that system against them and we didn't. And I think we looked very vulnerable against it. So I think it'd just be different weeks. Maybe if we're playing against, like I said, a Chelsea, or I wouldn't want to spite my nose completely by adding another defender in, because it would be a very defensive, counter-attacking 3-4-3 anyway. And I think we look much more of a threat when we're sort of in the 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 or something. So
what do you think is our best system?
A 4-2-3-1, I think, something along those lines. But again, see, like last year, we played a lot on the counter-attack, especially against the sort of quote-unquote bigger sides and stuff. But for me, I feel like I want to be able to, some games where we go in and we control the game like a top side does. I think like last year, like sometimes it was very nervy when we were playing against the likes of Burnley or other teams and Brightons and stuff. And you think on paper, the players that we've got, we should be outperforming these sorts of sides. Not massively, but I'd just maybe like to see a bit more domination in the game.
We should have at least beat Brighton once in the Premier League.
Tell me about it. But yeah, I think I'd want to see maybe more of an attacking 4-2-3-1. But then again, it's David Moyes, he's a very defensive manager. So that's his bread and butter, and why change, especially when it's got us into Europe in the last 2 years. So probably stick as you are. It's probably the best advice.
Before I move on to sort of other things, Kostic at left back is a no-no, isn't it? It has to be, surely.
Yeah, I think unless you basically gave him carte blanche to just run up and down the wing the entire game. I mean, to attack and defend, and but I think that in itself could be a huge bunch of problems. Plus, I think you'd then miss out a lot of the time on the attacking threat that he has as well. So if I was going to bring him in, I'd probably be wanting to bring him in as a left-sided winger or midfielder. But again, it's all up to the system that he plays, because realistically, he could have Kostic at left wing back, Antonio at left wing, Scamacca up front, Bowen on the right, and Soufal on the other side, Johnson, Zuma, and Aguerd when he's back fit, and then Rice, Souček in the middle, and that's like a very good 3-5-2 system as well. Or 3-4-3 system even, or you could go 3-5-2. It really sort of depends what he's going to do and what he'll find. The thing is, the time's ticking down before the start of the season. Like, it's something that he is going to have had to have worked on quite a lot in pre-season, and every time we haven't seen that.
In any of the friendly games, I've not seen us play this 3-4-3.
No,
right, I might be wrong, but against Rangers the other week, we played 4-3-3, which I liked. I'd like to see the 4-3-3. I think we looked quite decent. I might be wrong. If someone could tell me in the chat I'm wrong, then I'd like to hear it. But I haven't seen us really play this 3-4-3, like with wing backs and all that. And that's why it don't make a lot of sense that we're going into a new season against the best team in the country.
Yeah,
playing a system that we haven't really tried.
Yeah, I think this is the thing. I think it's like, if you specifically as a manager was somebody that, like, for instance, let's just take Conte at Spurs. Whichever team he's going to, he's playing 3 or 5 at the back, or a very flexible 3 or 5 at the back with his wing backs and stuff. I don't think that's never really been something David Moyes has to have done in his career. He did do it a lot when he was trying to save us from relegation, but that was in his first stint, but that was more of a defensive one, just because we were leaking so many goals. Like I said, I'd be sort of looking maybe week on week basis what he thinks is best, whether it be like if we're playing against Tuchel at Chelsea to match up against that sort of system. I wouldn't be looking to play it maybe every single week. I'd just sort of, like I said, just see what happens when you play it. Because I think against teams that know how to play that formation well, I think we were found out, especially like I said last year against Frankfurt. I think them having that system completely screwed us over because we didn't look to match up very well with it. So the likes of Chelsea, the likes of Spurs, I would be using that system. But against sort of the other teams that don't play with that, I'd just be going 4-3-3, 4-3-2, 4-2-3-1, something like that.
I totally 100% agree with you there, mate. Really do. This question here: do you reckon the Broja deal is dead and buried? And someone put underneath it, they think it is dead and buried. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I think it's done. I think again, I'm only saying this because I was watching James Alcott the other night, and the ripple effect, the ripple effect, and he pointed out when he was like, actually, it could start a chain of events, which means that now we've got Scamacca, Broja will go to Newcastle, Chris Wood will go to Everton, potentially leaving space for somebody like Ronaldo to go to Chelsea or something like that. So I don't think he's going to want to come and be the third choice potentially behind Scamacca and Thingy, unless it was loan with an option to buy. I don't really see it. And to be honest with you, Chelsea need a number 9 anyway, so I don't know why he wouldn't potentially. I think it's him and Havertz, so realistically, or Werner if you want to play him at striker. But yeah, to be honest with you, I don't even see him leaving unless it was big money and they could actually get Ronaldo. I don't see him leaving because I genuinely think they need a body at striker. I think Chelsea are banging trouble this year. So I can't see him leaving. I really can't. Unless they get Ronaldo, I don't think he goes.
I'm not convinced, mate. I think it ain't over with the Broja thing. And I'll tell you the reason why. I think West Ham are going to come in with a loan bid right at the end. I think people are going to do their business and West Ham are going to wait. And that right at the end of the window, I think they're going to try and get him out there. I understand what you're saying about Chelsea. And I've had this debate before, yeah. But my issue is Chelsea won't just sit there and not do nothing. They've got a lot of money at their hands with this new owner. This owner wants to bring in top players. So it ain't over for me. They've got Koulibaly in, they've got Sterling in. They will go out and start spending the millions. Do you know what I mean? I did hear a little rumour the other day that they're eyeing up Bowen and all, which is a bit of a worry. So, but I think he's good. I think he'll stay with us.
I mean, whether or not actually players want to join Chelsea because they're just rejecting them left, right, and centre at the moment. They're missing out on all their top targets. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting to find out why they're doing that, but we will see what happens. But I think Broja, I think still, until he signs somewhere else, I think there's still always a chance.
For me,
who would be your backup striker?
Yeah, I know you. I know you.
Oh, please don't say it, please.
Yeah, Brereton Diaz. I think makes sense. Hang on, makes sense. He's an international footballer now, just because he's added Diaz on the end of his name. I think he can bring goals. He comes in. He's not a massive reputation behind him, which is good. He's cheap. He's in the last year of his contract. He won't be on massive wages. It makes sense to me. And I don't think that's somebody that's going to come in and go, right, I want to start straight away. Because I think with Broja, you want that. I think with Brereton Diaz, you've got somebody that can play in the cup games, can play now and again in Europe. The occasional start if he needs be. He's young enough, for me, I know it's not the signing you want, but realistically, why are we going to want to get someone in that is, going to throw the dummy out the pram because they're not starting games week in, week out? And that's sort of what I see from Broja, that he wants to start now. So it makes sense if he wants to go to a Newcastle or if Everton can actually afford him, which they probably can't. But with Brereton Diaz, you're going to have to say to him, look, you can come and have your move up to the Premier League and Europa, but you're not going to start every week. And I think for somebody that's been stuck in the Championship the last couple of years, I don't think they'd mind that. I think he's a good finisher, though. I think he's an all right finisher, and he scored a couple of goals in qualifying for Chile. Especially he did one against Argentina as well. Naturally, he's a very good finisher. But I don't mind these signings. Like I said, if he was going to play on the left, which he can do, or up front, he's got potentially Benrahma. If we sign Kostic, Antonio, Fornals who can play on the left, and also now Scamacca as well. Yes, Broja, it's a name. It's a bigger name than Brereton Diaz, but I think you've got to look at it realistically in terms of the money aspect and game time. I think he makes a lot of sense for us. I really do.
But would you look at it another way though, Tom? Why would he leave Blackburn to come and be third choice at West Ham and not play?
Money. Because I think if he was on something like 10 to 20 grand a week at the moment at Blackburn or something, will double your wages. You can have a chance to play in Europe. Plus, you'll be in the Premier League. You don't have the threat of being potentially relegated or stuck in the Championship for the rest of your career. I'd
stop agreeing with him, Charlie. Stop agreeing with him.
No, but it's genuinely for me. Him, it's a no-brain decision. I mean, it's like Flynn Downs. You have the opportunity to come and play in the Premier League. Flynn Downs isn't going to be starting every single week, but he knows that, but we'll double your wages and you can come play for your boyhood club. I'm not saying that's the same for Brereton Diaz, but these championship players, that's, their dream is to be in the Premier League. That's what they want. And I think we can give that to him. And I don't think he'll throw his dummy out of the pram for it.
I think for me personally, I think there's levels. There's levels to this. And I think Diaz as a third choice, I can understand the sentiment. Don't get me wrong. It's cheap. It's a signing and all that. But I'd rather go for someone like an Ismail Sarr or something. Someone who I know that you can get for cheap. And if he performs, he's going to go on to another level.
Oh, listen, I think he's good enough. I think he's good enough. But then I also think you're spending another 15 million quid on him. And
if I said to you right now, Tom, right, you can get Sarr for 20 or Diaz for 15, who would you have?
I don't think Ben Brereton. I feel weird calling him Diaz because it just sounds like
he's not Diaz. Like, yeah, I know.
Some tan Chilean, but he's not.
I remember him when he wasn't Chilean.
Yeah, I know, Ben Brereton. I think I'd take Diaz. I see someone that's been in the Championship, and I think he's this coke is sending my burps wild. I see him more of a hard-working player than Sarr. I think Sarr's been at Watford 3 or 4 years. Yeah, he had a lot of talent when he came there. He still does.
He's a good player, mate.
He really excelled in the Prem when he's been here twice.
Yes, he's got
exceptional pace, and we lack that. That's fair enough. And he does on his day look like a decent finisher, but there's got to be a reason that he hasn't moved on from Watford. At least with Richarlison, you could say, right, well, when he was at Watford...
wouldn't you say that, though, Tom? Just to say this, wouldn't you say that, as I slip on the floor, that basically, being at Watford, look how many managers they're at. Look how many sort of, how can a man really perform when he's getting a manager every other few months? Do you know what I'm saying?
But what I would say is, when Richarlison was there, he at least then, I know Marco Silva had a lot to do with him going to Everton, but at least he's gone to Everton and then he's now gone to Spurs where he has a chance to actually perform quite well in there. He can actually probably do quite well in that Spurs team. I think it's the same with Sarr. Yeah, I think he's 25, 26 or something like that. I think there has to come a point where it's
24 years, mate. 24.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But I think there has to come a point where you say, right, well, you've been talked about having all this talent for such a long time, and now you kind of 3 or 4 years you've been here, you've been in the Prem twice, and again, you've not really excelled or progressed to where we thought you would. Like I said, because it's not just us. If he was that good, why have other clubs not come in and wanted him? I don't know. I
can understand that. I can understand what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. But someone said it to me just a minute ago. They said, we need pace off the bench. And Diaz is not like a pacey player. We need some legs. We still haven't really signed anyone with any sort of rapid pace in our team. If we get Kostic in, now we're talking. That's a man who can run. But we need some runners. We haven't really got any runners in our team.
I don't think if you got Sarr, I think it's very much similar to the Brereton Diaz thing, that you're not going to start because, you've got more chance if you're on that left-hand side of potentially starting in games because he does rotate Benrahma for nows, potentially now Antonio out there as well. On that right side, if he's fit, Jarrod Bowen is playing every single game and that's where Sarr can play. And now you've got a big striker as well in Scamacca that may play most week in, week out. He isn't going to, for me, I think for that price, I think you just go for the no-brainer. I think he'll want higher wages than Brereton Diaz as well, because I think when he went to Watford, he was on decent wages to go there. For me, I think Brereton Diaz, and he's not a slouch either. Brereton Diaz, he's not a slouch.
Yeah. Listen, that's a topic for another day. I honestly, I'm not a fan. I am not, and I'll quickly say this before I ask you a question on something. For me, I'm just not a fan. I looked at him in the Championship, and I've seen his stats, and I think Blackburn's his club. If I'm being truthfully honest, he's done very, very well for Blackburn, but I'm just not convinced that he can come up to the Prem. And if we called upon this man, that he can deliver. I'm just not convinced. But that's me.
Would you take? So if we go back last season, would you have? And I'm going to excite Charlie here. Would you have taken, for example, Mitrovic? At any point?
Not really, mate. Not really, because you can look at him in. Well, we see Mitrovic in the Prem, and he didn't really do a lot, really. He went to the Championship, banged in goal, and I don't think Mitrovic is going to do a lot in the Prem this year. So, like, when you're up against top class, world class defenders, right, you ain't going to have that much time on the ball and around the box. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think Mitrovic in the Championship is a good player, a very, very, very good player. But in the Prem, he's a lower end striker. It's as simple as that.
I'm not trying to change your mind or grill you here. I'm
Go
giving
on,
you.
son. Go on. Take it on.
All right. Okay. What's the difference between Brereton Diaz, who isn't old per se? I mean, how old is Brereton Diaz?
23.
He's 23.
Yeah.
Right. To be fair, he looks about 53 with that beard and haircut. But what's the difference between him, still 23, and young, but being a potentially cheaper signing than Keane Lewis Potter, who is somebody that you wanted so much, which is fair enough because he did look very similar to Jared Bowen, but he's actually got a shit ton more goals and assists, and is an international footballer now for Chile as well.
I think what it is with Keane Lewis Potter,
they play in the same position at times as well on the left side.
What it is with Keane Lewis Potter for me is I look at him and I think, you know what, he will become another Bowen. I don't see that with Diaz. I just don't see it. In my opinion, I don't see it. I'm not saying that you're right or wrong, but I look at Keane Lewis Potter. He is a player that I've always believed will go on to big things. He's gone to Brentford, and this is just a start. But if he performs next season, he won't be at Brentford for long. He's a very, very good player, mate. He really is. And like, I think we missed the boat on him for the money that he cost. Diaz, he scored some good goals in the Championship. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just not convinced, Tom. I remember this geezer at Nottingham Forest, mate, and he done not a lot. Really, not a lot at all. So,
but you had Diaz your name, and all of a sudden you become twice the player.
I know, mate. I know. Call Vico Antonio
Diaz.
Yeah. Antonio Diaz or something. Yeah, that'd be good.
Antonino or something. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, Tom, I'm going to ask you something right now, yeah? And I want you to give me a rating out of 10 for this, please. Right, we're showing 3 players, Aguerd, Downs, Areola. We've just got Scamacca in. If Kostic comes in, what would you rate it out of 10 for the window so far?
That's a good question. I'd give it an 8. I'd give it an 8. Because I still believe that we need a natural left back, and I believe that we need potentially another DM. I think we got to start looking for when Rice does go, whether that be sold or leaves after he runs his contract down. I think if we get those 2 positions in, and I mean, as far as the DM goes, I don't necessarily mind because it can be another Flynn Downs type, somebody that can grow. If it is a Nana, fair enough. You know, again, looks of talent. But is he going to start every week while Souček's there? And Souček's looked really good in pre-season. But for me, the main one, if we get a left back and a capable, younger, fast, just anything better than Aaron Cresswell at left back, I'd probably give it a 9, 9.5. But I think that is going to still be our biggest weakness this year, potentially, is left back. Yeah, I think, and Aguerd not being there to help him, I think, on the left until he comes back, I think that's a massive worry as well. Because at least if Aguerd's there, he's got the pace to cover him, and he's a naturally left-sided centre-half. I mean, Kurt Zouma went over there when Aguerd got injured the other day, and it was like, I don't want to have to see any more right-footed centre-backs at left centre-half again. When you actually have that left-sided natural centre-half, it makes the world of difference because they're so much more comfortable receiving the ball and taking it on their left and not looking awkward. So I think it would have helped Cresswell having thingy there. But yeah, I've just for far too long, I've seen defensive mistake after defensive mistake with Cresswell. So you get a left back in and you get a somewhat decent left back, I'll raise it to a 9, 9.5. But still really, if we do get Kostic in, still really, really good signings, I think.
What would it be to be a 10 for you? Like a 10 out of 10 window, realistically?
I think, all right, if we throw some names out there for like left back and stuff, Luke Thomas is not a 10 for me.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest with you, I think, is it Nice or Lille? It's Lille, isn't it? Where Onana, if they're dicking about and playing hardball for 35, 36 million or something, whatever it is for thingy, just take that money and spend it elsewhere. Spend it on a fullback. We never do that because we don't pay a lot of money for fullbacks, but it's been proven that if you do that, it can actually help. So I mean, if the chat wants to throw some names out there, I know obviously.
Zielinski.
Well, yeah, he's not a left back though, is he? He's a midfielder.
This is noise we're talking about. Nothing certain.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few that I would have liked before the window. I think Windale potentially could have been someone decent. Even that Malakia he's probably going to turn a few heads at United this season. I don't know. I think if we did, like I said, if we got Diaz, a proper left back, and another central midfielder, and if for whatever reason this war chest keeps on growing and we get Kostic as well, because I don't know, it just feels like we're spending, we're talking in excess of anywhere between 150 to 200 million, which I thought we needed before the season started, because I thought we did need 7 or 8 players. But it's one thing saying that and then actually putting your money where your mouth is. But so far we've done that. So if maybe another 3-4 signings, Kostic, Diaz, a left back, and maybe another midfielder, and I think you're set.
But how much have we actually spent at present, though, Tom? Like, we've spent 30 million plus add-ons for Scamacca.
So 7.75
for Areola.
So I think it's anywhere in the region of about, and then Flynn Downs, but that was undisclosed. But you think a couple of million. It's probably about 70, 75 million without add-ons.
Is it 75 million? Is it? Okay, no, I didn't think it was that.
27 plus 30 is 57. But then if you add the add-ons onto that, is over 60.
You're not far off.
So probably around between 70 to 75 with all the add-ons included. So I think we still got another 75 mil to spend, because I don't think we wouldn't be talking to Kostic, we wouldn't be talking to Onana if we didn't have that money. I don't think.
For me, I agree with you on that. I really do. 75 million is a lot, but if we get rid of Diop for 20 million, then that sort of counters a bit of that, doesn't it?
Right,
you laugh.
That's funny that you can actually get 20 million for him, but yeah, go on.
I know, £20 million, mate, but it is what it is. For me, I've asked that question on the Spaces, and it was good to get your opinion on that. Do you know what I mean? In regards to the window, for me, at the minute, it's if we get Kostic, I agree with you. It's an 8. It's slowly getting up there, but I just think we need a little bit more. A little bit more. We need one more striker, which I agree with you on. The left back is majorly needed, and if we get Onana, I think we can do some damage this year. I really do. There is a reason why West Ham are going after this man multiple times. There's Newman, who I'm going to lead on, and this is going to be the final thing before I get to the Premier League stuff. What Rob Newman's doing, he's identifying top players for West Ham, and I think he deserves a bit of respect, really. Me and Charlie had a bit of a disagreement the other day, right? He said, I can't give him any respect until I see the player play. And I'm thinking, well, he's nabbing these players from good players. Onana is definitely a Rob Newman target, and so was Scamacca and Zielinski. These are not Moyes' players. These are Newman's targets all day long. So, what do you think on Newman at the minute, Tom?
Yeah, doing a good job. I mean, I didn't understand the point of him last time. Time last year, I can't lie. Or January last year, whenever it was, whenever he come off gardening leave, I didn't understand the point of what his job was. But no, listen, I think that's the thing. I think it's less now. Well, I think we go into a part in football, some of which maybe the older fans don't like. Obviously, a lot of the younger fans probably do, because it's a new era where a lot of things are stats, analytically driven. And I think analytically, the players that we've signed fit very well into what Moyes wants to do. I think they're not maybe his choices, but I think they're very much David Moyes' signings. Analytically, these guys that we're linked with are very, very good. The last couple of years, again, very, very good performances for the individual players. Some of them consistently good for a while, and look, they're not necessarily, other than maybe sort of the Kostic and Scamacca thing. You wouldn't say exactly that everybody was tearing up trees to pay 25 million quid for Aguerd before the season starts, but all of a sudden he's come in, and I think all of us have just gone, wow, in pre-season. Like, who is this guy? Like, what's he been doing? In France for the last couple of years, because he just looks like a top player. So, yeah, I think it's more just, I would say, just talking and actually coming up with a plan instead of just going, right, scattergun, let's David Sullivan this thing up and have 30 million here, and we'll have 25 mil here, and we'll have 10 million here. At least there's some sort of plan, and actually we're buying players that potentially would fit into a system going forward. Because Allaire at the time, I still think Allaire's a baller, by the way. Like, he proved that again last year at Ajax, and I thought he would do the same thing this year at Dortmund, but he didn't really fit into what system David Moyes wanted to play. Fair enough, he was bought for another manager in Pellegrini, but I think he's actually looking to get players that will improve his team, and he's not necessarily, I think he's as well upgrading the starting 11. I think that's the main thing. Buying players that are going to come in week one and you think, right, you can start now because you are a very, very good player. And then coupled with the analytics and everything else, I think they're really, really good signings. So I agree with what Charlie's saying, though. We could get to week 10 and we're all sat here just arguing amongst each other, going, why the friggin' hell has Rob Newman suggested Kostic? He should have stayed in the Farmers Bundesliga. You fucking I imagine that will probably come at some point next season. But
I don't believe it, though, Tom, if I'm being honest, because I look at him and I look at his track record and look at what the players that he has found, especially for Manchester City. And some of them players were like in the wilderness.
Who did he have? Who did he bring in at City?
I think he brought in a company. He was one of them. He found obviously
he did take a while to come good, though.
Yeah,
the company.
But even Silva at Valencia, he was a good player at Valencia, and then I think he brought him in and he tore it up. Even brought Aguero over. Do you know what I mean? And other players like that. So you got to give the geezer some sort of credit, like where credit is due. And I do believe the players that we're looking at, to the players that we would have been looking at, is night and day. Like West Ham would be going out and going after people like Oxlade-Chamberlain, Barkley, and all that as main players.
Yeah. I think James is frozen, guys. You may have to confirm. Oh, there you go. You're back. You froze.
I'm back. I'm back in the room. I think Newman is doing a really, really good job. But
oh God, you look like the front of a Daft Punk cover. There we go.
Fair enough.
I think. Can I just quickly say it's a shame? It's all right. It was going to be a joke, tongue in cheek, anyway. But it's a shame that Rob Newman couldn't come like a year earlier, because if and I stand by this, I think the better signing from this is the hot topic. This is nothing even to do with West Ham. That Julian Alvarez will be a better player for City in the long term than Erling Haaland will be. That's my top take for the day.
And why is that, Tom?
He looks fucking mustard. Seriously. He looks utterly incredible. Like Aguero Mark II, he looks insane. I would have loved him with us. That's got Sully special written all over it. Let's chuck, not a Jonathan Calleri, but chuck 30 million on Julian Alvarez and just watch him develop into an absolute world beat for City.
Well, before we come to the last sort of thing, Premier League, Tom. What is your expectations with West Ham in the Premier League this year? Where do you think we will finish? Who do you think will be our main player this year, as in top goal scorer? Who's going to be the best signing of the season? And who's going to be the flop of the season? They're my questions to you, bruv.
Yeah, I know I've already annoyed some people not in this specifically, but I think City win the title. I think Liverpool run them a close second again. I think Spurs come third. I think Spurs, they've really, signed well and players that Conte wants. So I think Spurs will come third. I think Arsenal have done well as well in the transfer window. I think Jesus will probably be a revelation for them. I think they're going to get fourth. I think who else have we got left from the big
Chelsea, Man United?
I think Man United will come fifth. I think Ten Hag will get them playing at least a better system than the last few managers. I think he's got a plan of what he wants to do. I think they'll get fifth. I honestly think we're going to run Chelsea. I think we're going to come sixth. I think last year we all we did the your shout type thing, and we sort of said, eighth. You know, I'd be more annoyed if we sort of come eighth, and that was pretty much bang on in the end.
Mm.
But I think this year, like I said, we haven't lost any big players. We've only added to that, and we're adding quality players, especially if we do sign Kostic. I don't think, I don't see it going bad. Like I said, I think Chelsea have lost some really key parts to their team. They've lost 2, 3 potentially centre halves. Azpilicueta go, Marcus Alonso potentially off as well.
Mm.
And even Tuchel came out the other day and said, I don't think that we're going to be ready for the start of the season. I think there's a gap there for us to potentially nick a 6th place. I think it'd be interesting to see, but I don't think Leicester will be there. Like this afternoon, I don't know if you've had time to see it, but Kasper Schmeichel's off to Nice in France.
I think Leicester are in trouble this year, mate.
So do I. So again, I think I don't see many teams around us challenging. I think Villa are going to probably try and push into that with a few of the signings they've made. But no, I think 6th, and I think the team for me that's going to surprise everyone is going to be Spurs. I think they're going to stay in the title race until maybe the last 2 to 3 months or 2 months of the season. And I think they'll drop off. Shit, I realised I'm not answering your other questions. Top goal.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll do it one at a time.
Okay, go on.
For me, City, Liverpool. I don't believe this Chelsea thing is over. I think Chelsea will spend some dough and get players in. It's just not. It ain't going to happen. I think, don't want to say it, but I think Tottenham will come 3rd. I think Chelsea will come 4th. I think Man United and Arsenal is a toss of a coin between the pair of them. But I'm not believing the hype on Arsenal at the minute. I really am not. Jesus is a good signing for them, but one injury or one setback, and they're playing Thursday, Sunday, and all. I'm not convinced. I really am not. I think we can break into that top 6. I really do believe that. We get the players in. Yeah, there's no pressure on us. There's pressure on all the top 6 to remain to fight for them positions. I do believe we can get top 6. So I'm going to say I'm not convinced on Arsenal. I really am not. So I'm going to say Man United, us, and Arsenal. I think Arsenal will get 7th. I think they rely on Jesus, but if you take Jesus out that game, then I look at their team. I've seen them get battered last year against other people, and I'm just not convinced on Arsenal. I really am not.
I know you're only saying that just to piss online off if he was to be watching.
Probably am, mate. Probably am. But Tom, top goal scorer for West Ham next season?
In the Prem, I think it will be Haaland. Actually, no. Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane next year probably in the Prem. But us, I would say. Smeagol just said, "What about Newcastle? What have they done? They haven't like all this money, and they've not really done much. They've got Botman, haven't they? They've not really added anything. I was shocked because I was expecting like Mbappe to be linked with them and them lot. So it was weird that they've not really spent loads of cash yet. But for us, Jared Bowen, I said it on Twitter this morning. I said it was a controversial opinion potentially, but now and more I look at it, I think no. I think he's just going to do bits. I think he's going to push nearly 20 goals a season in the Prem, Jared Bowen. I really do. I think he's playing with all the confidence in the world. I think the signing of Scamacca is going to completely change not change his game, but I think he's going to be able to thrive off of it. I think just in the final third, Scamacca is going to open so many doors for Jared Bowen. And the biggest criticism that we had when he first came was too greedy and better placement of his shots. He did that last year. My God, what player he turned out to be. So I think Jared Bowen, I'm going to give you a number. I'm just going to say 17 goals in the Prem this year. I genuinely think that is the kind of impact that Scamacca will have on Jared Bowen's game. I think he will elevate him to get to near 20 goals a season. I think he's like 17 goals, 10 assists. That's what I'm going to say. Something like that.
Listen, I think Bowen's going to perform this year, but I don't know why, but I think Scamacca's going to come in and hit the ground running massively, mate. I don't know why. I've got a funny feeling. I think he's just there's a vibe on him. He looks the real deal, this geezer. So I'm going to say Scamacca's going to be West Ham's top goal scorer with 14, but I think Bowen will be around between 10 and 12. I think he will score some goals, Bowen, but I think they're going to rotate. One thing I will say, Bowen will play 95% of the Premier League games. I think we all can guarantee that.
All the games in general he'll play.
Yeah. And finally, who's going to be like? Well, first of all, who's going to be the signing of the season for you, Tom? If we get these, if we get Kostic in, Scamacca, and the players we've got, who's going to be the signing of the season?
Whoever we sign as the left back, that'll be my sign of the season.
That's a sign of the season.
Yeah, no, I think Kostic for me. I think out of the two of them, I think Kostic is. I think he's class. Like I said,
yeah,
haven't really watched too much of him other than in Europa League games and stuff before last year. And I know every single year before this, I'm going to really annoy you with this comment. He always gets special cards in FIFA every week, and you think, oh, he must be somewhat decent if he's always getting special cards like Team of the Weeks and Team of the Seasons and stuff. He must be doing something right. And a lot of the time, I think that's where a lot of people get their knowledge from. They see some people getting like informs in FIFA and going, oh, yeah, he must be good. But actually, like I said, when you get to watch him, he's a very good player. And I think, again, he's another one that will thrive in this team. So, yeah, I'll go Kostic if we get it done. If not, then obviously it'll probably be... Actually, I'm not even going to say Scamacca. No, fuck it. I'm not going to say either of them two. I'm going to say Aguerd. No, I'm going to say genuinely Aguerd. I think he would have been that good if he was fit for the full season. Genuinely, I was shocked as to how I've said it. I've waxed lyrical about him in the show already. I was shocked at how good he was. He really, really stood out to me.
You just nicked my one. You know what I mean? I was going to say Aguerd.
I was thinking in my head. I was like, yeah.
Aguerd for me, mate. I think it's the real deal. I really do. I'm absolutely gutted that he's injured. Don't get me wrong, Tom. But I really, really can't stress enough how good this geezer is. I think he's going to be excellent for West Ham. Who's going to be disappointed?
Ben Ra.
Fair enough, Tom.
I'm sorry. No. A controversial one, I could say Cresswell, but then again, is that like? I think Ben Johnson. I really
exactly
do.
The same as me, mate. Exactly the man I was thinking of.
I don't know. There's just I think he can. I think that obviously we spoke about it before on the space last week.
Yeah.
I think he's got time on his side, and he's clearly talented, and he's been played out of position so many times on the left, or potentially now centre half or wherever. So I don't know how much, if everyone's fully fit, how much he starts ahead of Soufal, because Soufal coming back from his injury, I think, he'll start most weeks. But I don't know. It's just something that not. I really sound horrible saying it, because obviously he's just got into the England squad and he does look good on his day, but I don't know, he's just lacking in something attacking.
Inconsistent, isn't he?
Yeah,
massively.
I'm a little bit worried about him at the moment. I can't lie.
I listen. I agree with you 100% now. I think Ben Johnson. I don't know why, but last season, me and you discussed this before on something. I can't remember what it was, but he didn't really want to sign a contract at West Ham, but West Ham forced the contract on him because he had the contract that he had at West Ham last season. There was a clause in it that West Ham can activate a 2-year extension. And I don't know. I just feel Ben's just not on it at all at the minute. I really just do not see it with him. He's inconsistent. He can't cross. I'm not convinced, and I do think he might be the negative of the new season. I really do. Do you know what I mean? I think Ashby, where people are not really convinced on Ashby, saying that about Ashby, but I think Ashby, if he comes in, he overtakes Ben Johnson by a country mile, big time. Very good player, Ashby. But we will find out soon. Tom,
I think last year we all said when Johnson was we saw the deficiency in his game in the attacking threat, we were all going, oh, actually, every time Ashby's played a game, either it be in the cup or something
Yeah.
else, we've gone, hang on a minute, this kid in this probably the closest thing we've got in the second or the youth team to actually coming up in the first team.
Yeah.
I really like the look of him. And like I said, he is brilliant in the final third. And I think you can add to that defensive side of his game as well. I think he looks the real talent. Like I said, I think with the contract situation with Johnson, and like, don't get me wrong, he's still young, and you know, I think something must have happened behind the scenes. We don't know, because a lot of young players wanted away from the club at points over the last couple of years. So I don't know. I'm struggling to see where Johnson fits, because it's not like he's got a cemented place. He's just put wherever it need be in the defensive sort of back line.
He's like a utility player, isn't he? Really?
I think you do need someone like that. You know, that's why I love James Milner. I think he's just superb, because you can put him anywhere in the park and he'll play there. So yeah, I think he just sort of maybe has to naturally grow into where he's going to end up. I know some people have recommended him as a defensive midfielder. I don't see it personally, but
yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I think out of all of them, I think he's the one I'm most concerned about. And I'd be giving Ashby a few more games, especially in the Prem and stuff this year, just to test him out and see.
Yeah, listen, I totally agree with you. I really, really do. Anyway, we're going to leave it at that. Tom, been an absolute pleasure having you on, son. Good to see you back in action. And what have you got there?
Chicken and stuffing, which will go, and a cheeky Yorkie as well. Which
is, a Yorkie bar, mate. They are the classics.
I don't like the fact that the PC has removed the political correctness that this is not for girls, because in my mind it will always not be for girls. So women, keep your fucking hands off my Yorkie. But yeah, no, I'm back off of my summer sabbatical. So yeah, you may see me a bit more on the channel now.
Before I let you go, are you excited about the Prem coming back?
I thought you were going to ask me if I was excited about my child. Well, yeah, I'm excited about that. Although he better not come when we're playing, because that'll be difficult. Especially probably because I'm going to be in the delivery suite watching us play instead of dealing with Rebecca.
I can imagine you in the delivery suite where, like, baby in one hand, phone in the other.
Yes, vape in the other as well.
I can safely say to everyone who's watching this right now, there will not be a stream where Tom is in. I'm interviewing Tom from the hospital. Do you know what I mean? I can safely say that.
Yeah. No, wait, what was your question again? What I'm most looking forward to?
Are you excited about the Prem this year?
Oh yeah. Sorry, Rebecca. Yeah. No, I am.
I've got to ask though, Tom. I've got to ask this, right? Is it going to be one of the best Premier Leagues for the amount of, like, you got Fulham in it, Bournemouth and Forest. Forest are coming up, and Forest look like they're spending money out their ear holes, basically. Do you reckon it's going to be the best Premier League ever this year?
Fulham can fuck themselves. I don't care. They can just go back and be swapped again by Norwich next year. Yeah, I could say so. Yeah, I think we're at a point now in the Premier League where, like, I think for us previously, La Liga had all of the pulling power for the top players. I think actually the Prem getting Erling Haaland is massive. I think for us personally, this is the most excited I think I've been in a long time. We've got Europe back-to-back seasons. We're signing quality players. It's exciting times. And I also like the fact that Leeds are still in the Prem, which is a bit big. But I also like even if they're not Forest fans, which have been proven to be the weirdest set of fans that have just started piping up again, just for no apparent reason. But I don't know why. I like the teams with history coming back up into the Prem. So I think actually the Leeds and Forest games will be tasty. I'm looking forward to watching them. But yeah, like everybody's got good teams across the board. It's going to be a really competitive season. It's exciting times for English football as well. You know, like I said, having someone like Haaland join the Prem is good. It's really good for us. People want to come. That means the money's going to stay up, the TV rights, everything else. So just qualify for Europe again, you know, and it's like you'll just in that, you know, keep getting that, stay in that cycle. Don't get there and then drop out for a season and then come back.
Yeah.
You've pushed your way in now. Stay there. And I think if we can do that, yeah, it's going to be a good season. But yeah, I think what you said there on Forest, who are spending money out their ear holes, never works. Never, ever works. All the teams that come up and they get an entire starting 11, a new starting 11, always seem to fail. Remember when Fulham did it? They did, 110, 20 million on players the other year when they come up?
Ridiculous, that was,
Went straight back down. The chemistry's off. Listen, some good names. That Niakate, or whatever he's called, the centre half, the French centre half, looks a decent player. Lingard, we know how good he can be. Is interesting, but I think you've got to be careful because I think, like I said, Fulham were the blueprint for doing that the other year, and it did not work out well for them. So, although I'm pretty sure that Lucas is secretly hoping that Forest are relegated by like Christmas or something.
I've got to ask you quickly. Right, I've got to ask this before
we're going to end this. You know what? I'm cracking open a sandwich now.
Right, you can crack it open quickly, yeah. Quickly though, Tom, what did you make of the Lingard thing? So I haven't spoke to you on here. So, what did you think of the Lingard?
Perfect time for me to eat my sandwich. I'm more interested in how this tastes than I am about the Lingard situation. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
and I felt like it a couple of weeks ago as well. Like, sorry guys, don't talk your mouth full. It should have been clear to all of us that he wasn't coming back. I guess again, I know I said it on the space or wherever it was. You know, sometimes, we've all gone after a woman that's rejected us and stuff, and sometimes you just need to walk away. And I think the fact that he didn't join us straight away after we'd completely sort of rejuvenated his career, I think he himself missed a trick. And like signing a 1-year contract, to me, just screams money. That's all he cares about now, is just picking wage to wage. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I think his brother's a dickhead. I think his dad's a dickhead. And if he truly wanted to come back to us, he's 29 years of age, mate. Grow a set of bollocks and say you want to come back and actually come back. Like I said, I think we should have moved on when he rejected coming back to us the other summer. So, yeah, good luck to it, Forest. I don't think it will work out, and he'll be on the move, and I'm sure we'll do this whole song and dance again next year, and we'll get disappointed again. Yeah.
And I know I'm bagging on, but this is the last thing I'm going to say, Tom. Yeah, this is a serious thing. I haven't had you on since the passing of Peach, and I just wanted you to sort of say your bit on him. I had Lucas on the other day. Me and you used to do a lot of stuff with Peach, yeah, and it's sort of, as the days have gone on, it's starting to settle in a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Just give me your thoughts on him, mate, and what we've done, all of us.
Yeah, I've cried a lot about it, as has Rebecca the last couple of days. Speaking, obviously, Rebecca spoke to his dad and what he sort of was saying. It is upsetting. It's a horrible situation. I can only echo what everybody else has said, and I believe it to be 100% true. Fucking hell, you're going to make me cry again now I'm on here.
No, that's all right, mate.
Genuinely, like, a lot of people may not have seen him because he did a lot of his stuff on random. Did not have a bad bone in his body. Just didn't. And if he did it innocently, and he never did it with an intention to hurt someone. He is genuinely one of the nicest, just brightest characters that this community has. As I said, I think myself and Charlie were the first two that he sort of came across and spoke to in the live streams, and that will always stick with me because it's not a competition of, we've known him the longest, but it was getting to know him through the live chat of the streams. We didn't even know what he looked like, but you could tell that he was some eccentric character because of the way that he typed and stuff. And then when you actually saw him and talked to him, you're like, my God, like, you're literally exactly how we thought you would be. But I never thought, looking at someone like Peach, that I would be friends with someone like that. I'm going to miss him a lot. He was a massive part of all of our lives, and I think his legacy will always be this amazing person that that made everyone happier and better around him, and he managed to bring a lot of people together that necessarily shouldn't have been together because of not being friends.
He definitely did.
But hopefully we will, with the backing of his dad, which we've got now, we'll have a stone laid for him outside of the Champions Play stones when they're available again. It will be a place that myself, you, whoever wants can go and visit Peach, because we can't exactly go over to his grave, which is frustrating, obviously, being in Canada, but it will be somewhere that we can go collectively and remember him. But I think the greatest thing about it is I think he is immortalized. He's immortalized on YouTube, and funnily enough, that is what Peach would have wanted.
Yeah. Why I let you compose yourself, bruv? Yeah, I'll say.
Okay, go on.
I'll let you compose yourself because I've been there. Well, I was there the other week, and I let it all go. Yeah, so I'll let you compose yourself for a few minutes. Yeah, I just want to say this. Yeah, I'm going to miss the man. Yeah, but one thing he would be so proud of at the minute is that how well everyone come together the other day for his things. That's one thing I will say. Like, for everyone to come in out and listen, I will be the first one to say it. Yeah, from me. Yeah, there's people that I've met through the YouTube game that I am like that with. Yeah, and I won't lie. I'll tell the truth. Now, for me to come together for that man was powerful. It means it just shows you how important life is. Don't get me wrong, life is too short for grudges, like, and having sort of disagreements and bickering arguments. But I must admit, every time I spoke to Peach, he always used to say to me he loved the shows that I was doing on this channel. He loved the boys on this channel. He had a lot of time for Mitchell. And when I had people on this channel and we used to have debates and constructive criticism and not just shouting at each other like some sort of madmen, he liked that. Like, he said to me that there's not a lot of that on YouTube. Everyone seems to agree quite a lot, and no one seems to come out with different arguments. And that's what I've always set out to do on this channel. Listen, I'm not in this channel to do anything other than bring it to the people. Do you know what I mean? And the lads that I have on this channel, from Athers to Walshy, Mitch, West Ham Online, Lucas, yeah, to name all them lads, they're all good lads, and I've met them on my journey of doing this. And I've met Athers and Charlie through Peach, really deep down, because when we used to do the late night stuff, Peach was fucking mad. He was mad. And I've got some of the funniest memories with Charlie with certain things. So I will never forget the man. And do you know what? His memory will always live on. Always live on. I've got through my side of things. I can understand where Tom's coming from. That's why Tom's getting a bit emotional. But I've let it all go the other day, and I had to let it all go. But do you know what? He's sadly going to be missed. That's what I'm going to say.
And if you haven't already, you can go to my Twitter, or I think James's Twitter, Lucas's Twitter, on whatever, at Athers32. If you want to donate, go and donate to the Champions Place. Any other donations that, once we've bought the stone, which we reckon only be between 500 and £1,000, the rest will be going to Barney and Veronica, just to help recoup some of the costs for the funeral, that obviously that they'll have to do for Matt, or Peach, as everyone knows him, this week. But yeah, as James said, and as I said, just will be immortalized in YouTube for talking just random shit. And do you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way, because listen, I'm sure every person that watched his stuff sometimes, other than being an incredible friend, you could, if you were pissed off or worried or upset, you could just bang Peach's stream on. You could either be in the stream or you could just be in the live chat, and it'd take your mind off things for hours. That's just how he was. Just a beautiful, kind soul. And I'm getting emotional more because I haven't really spoken about it a lot. And it's still quite raw, but
all the best to Peach.
Yeah.
Rest in paradise, Peach. Listen, I'm going to wrap it up there, everyone. I want to thank everyone who's watched today. I've had 100 people in at one stage. I've got 85 watching right now. I really do appreciate every single one of you. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. West Ham, listen, we're signing players. Like, let's all have a party about it. It ain't done yet. as Mitchell said in the chat, and I'm going to remember this, he said, people are forgetting the left-back situation. We do need a left-back at this club, but we will find out in the coming days. Anyway, look after yourselves out there. Stay safe. And listen, Peach, rest in paradise, mate. You will never be forgotten on this channel or by any of us. And, yeah, look after each other, because life is too short. From me to you, I'll see you in the next one.